Welcome to the Nick and Izzy show. We are back for another episode, and no, you can't get rid of us that easy. We're here, unfortunately. But so we are back for another episode. We want to bring some positive vibes, right, Izzy?
We do, yes. We have to bring some positive vibes. And by the way, how are you, brother and sister? Happy what is today? Thursday already? Tomorrow's Friday. What's up? How you feeling? Okay, so I gotta tell you this though. I know this may be a little crazy, but I'm eating some chocolate chip mint ice cream in a Godiva bowl. Can you believe that? I mean,
Of course you are.
look at that. Oh, and I have some fish that my mother made upstairs. And so just if I'm kind of eating a little bit though, I'm just kind of, just I'm starving. I haven't really eaten all day, so I'm just like, yeah, I'm just a
All right.
hungry dad.
While you're finishing eating, I'm going to introduce the third person in our triple box. First time we're doing a triple box in here.
Yes, it's very exciting.
So the best way I describe this show, and I'll quickly describe it off our Twitter bio because Izzy laughed when I came up with this. Two coworkers, Nick Morganson and Izzy Richardson, take you on a journey and never know where it's going to end up. Well, we ended up with another colleague who works with us at 77 WABC, like us, in this crazy radio business. And we ran into Jerry Barmash, who's been a friend of ours for a long time, and back and forth to the radio station digitally, now does digital work for WABCradio.com. And we're going to get into a fascinating interview we did. But first, how are you doing, Jerry?
Thanks for having me. This is great. I love this. I feel like I'm on the Hollywood Squares, though. I'll take Izzy for the block.
We can talk classic game shows later. But so, Jerry, let's start with this one. And this is what a lot of people have been asking me. I'll ask you this question as well. What is it like working from home in the radio business? And how have you been handling so far?
Well, I don't know about radio business or not radio business. For me, it's the digital end. So I'm not doing the on-air work. But I would say, first of all, at the beginning, it was very difficult, as it's been for everybody. Just that depression setting in. And for me, it was hard because I had to watch what was going on the news. I couldn't turn on, the Flintstones or Friends. I had to watch press conferences. I'm serious. I had to watch what was going on. And at the very beginning, these first few weeks, it was a lot more bad news than good news. So it was, it was hard to focus on it, but obviously I was professional about it, and I got the information, and I did what I had to do. But also has been the case. You lose track of the days. Or the dates as well. I mean, if it's not for the little thing on the calendar here on the computer, sometimes I forget what day it is. So working at home, and I know the Governor Cuomo does this. He'll make a point of saying in his PowerPoint, he'll say, just a reminder, today's Saturday or today's Sunday, and you can't tell the difference. What's Saturday, what's Sunday, what's Tuesday when you're home. And I'm working, so they all kind of come together. I have off on Monday I have off, so you can't really tell which is which. So that's part of it. The idea of structure is kind of out the window, but we try to do what we can. We have breakfast, we have lunch, we have dinner, and we do our whatever work we have to do, and we're home. And obviously there's many people are working at home that are in various fields, whether they're in law or accounting or in broadcasting, or so many people. It's funny how telecommuting was the term before, and now it's like it's a whole reality now.
It's interesting too, brother, because it's just like you're right about that. Like how Cuomo was putting up like on the TV screen, like today is Saturday, today's Sunday. I swear to you, because every day to me personally, Jer, feels the exact same now with being in quarantine. It's like I feel like all we can do now is just like we can go to work every day if you're an essential worker, and then you just go right back home, and then you go back to work, and then you go back home again. It's just like I don't know. It's just like this is home. Well, I mean, I don't think this is going to be life forever, though. Definitely not, though. But it's just like one of those things where it's just like it's very challenging for some people to adjust to this because some people really just from all the stories that have been going on recently, my friends, this is very challenging for some people to really stay in quarantine.
Oh, I mean, it's hard. I mean, look, I did stories. The mental illness aspect is, it's real. I mean, it's very serious. And when I said before about being depressed, I was not saying that as just a random phrase. It was actually depressing. I would wake up, I would do 2 stories, and I would literally have to walk away and lay down for 30 minutes. And I had to walk away and shut off. And that was like for the first week or two that it was so, it was, I mean, the only word I can think of is intense. It was so intense. And then I'll give you an example as well on the other end of that. When I had Monday and Tuesday off originally, when this first would start, and I would literally shut off. I mean, I could not watch CNN or any of the news. I mean, I was watching, we're talking about classic game shows. That was it. I was watching, match nonstop, or Family Feud or any of those things. And it was just to, decompress. I mean, in some ways, I want to know what's going on a day off to continue for work, to know what's going on. But in other ways, I just at those first couple of weeks, I just wanted to just shut off because it was that, that serious that I just didn't want to know what was going on. I just had to turn. And if I can add one more thing, I would lay in bed before going to sleep, and at the beginning, and I would say, don't do it. I would tell anybody, especially at those, those first weeks, just don't do it. If you want to watch the news, don't even watch the news, but just those first weeks, I would, as I always do now, I would go to the phone, and maybe I would check my email, and then apparently this is the international symbol for checking your phone. And I would look, I would look at Twitter, and obviously you're checking news, and inevitably night after night, you try to find in those, especially at the beginning when things were really, really bad, really in a desperate state. What was going on with the hospitals and with the ERs. I would just try to find, and I'm sure many people are doing this, would just try to find any little silver lining that they could hook onto and make themselves feel, just a little, not a little better, but just something that they could grasp onto for something in the future. And that future could be, for 3 hours. Then I would read something about a person who was my age that died, or younger that died, or an all-American athlete that died. And it would just, get me very anxious. And I and just put the phone down, and just, it was really, it was challenging at the beginning.
It's a very interesting time, like you said, regardless for if it's the radio business, if it's plumbing, as you told me an interesting story earlier today, or any other business that we're dealing with. But go into the inside of, I guess, broadcasting or interviewing. You've been dealing with interviewing people on Zoom. A lot of us in the broadcasting industry have had to use Zoom to either connect live. I think I even saw the Howard Stern show. They're doing it through Zoom and they're connecting into broadcast. So explain to everybody how difficult it's been doing these interviews through Zoom and making sure the communication is correct, and just talk about how that process has been.
So I have a radio background. I've been on the air. I've been on WABC as a reporter. I was anchoring. In fact, I'll be anchoring Monday morning on WABC for Memorial Day for Deb Valentine. So I have that background, and I've been doing the reporting online for since February. And now, you've been seeing everywhere on the news, on these entertainment shows, anywhere where there's some live or as live content, they seem to do these from home and from, all their remote spots. And inevitably it's been from Zoom. And we were talking just before we went on the air. I don't think I knew of Zoom or if I did, it was, you know, barely something that I was aware of. I knew FaceTime, Skype, and I don't think I really knew of Zoom. And now I feel, I think I said to Nick the other day, I think I'm addicted to Zoom. You know, everything is Zoom. I just, you know. So I do stories online. You know, I post a story, something about the pandemic, something locally, something nationally, other stories. I look for those moments when I can do something that's not pandemic related, because it just, you know, even now it takes you out of doing those stories. Obviously not if it's something terrible, but something, you know, just something else. So I think I've done 15 or so in these 5, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, something like that. And what, I mean, I you know, I'm not the greatest interviewer. You know, maybe I write some notes down. Sometimes I wing it. But it's recorded and then we post it. Now we don't usually post it if it goes on. There's no set amount, but usually it's about 8, 10, 15 minutes, maybe. Usually in there we'll post. After that, if it's any longer, you know, I don't think people want to really listen to a 20, 30 minute interview or watch, you know. Me, maybe they want to watch, but I don't think so. But no.
Oh, Jerry, you're a phenomenal interviewer. You are a phenomenal radio personality. You know, actually, mind you, let me actually tell you something, brother and sister, about this brother here. You know what's funny about, you know, Jerry, is Marty Hierstein, and shout out to you too, Marty. He's actually the director at Connecticut School of Broadcasting in Hasbro Heights, New Jersey. And I was actually talking to him about you about a couple months ago, and I told him, I was just like, I work with Jerry Barmash, WABC. He's just like, oh my gosh. He's like, I used to actually, like, he's been in this industry for like ever, and he's such an amazing person. And you really are, though. Like, you are really a reporter that I feel like is just, I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, people hear, oh, Jerry, people hear your name, bro. They're just like, Jerry Barmash, that's a good guy right there, man.
You spend the time, you put the effort into doing the work, and that's important in this business. If we don't do our jobs and we don't have the passion, then you shouldn't be in this business. You are one of those people that has the passion to work in this business, and that's what we find to be very important.
Well, thank you. I thank you very much. I enjoy what I'm doing. I mean, you know, and in some ways, I mean, look, I'm not reinventing myself, but in some ways I am, some little tiny way, from now taking, you know, the ability to do this interview and to now use video, which I wasn't doing before. I mean, you're not going to find me doing videos on, you know, if you look online, it's not going to happen. So this is my this is my entrance into television. No, it's not.
Well, let's bring up some of the interviews you've done, because I've been privy to some of them because I've been looking at them. But
and by the way, you vetted. So, you know, if there's some issue where I you know, not during if I flub, but if there's some like I botch a name at the beginning, or mostly if it's just too long to post, you know, Nick has been great and has been able to edit it. I don't have I can do for audio, I can edit it, but I don't have the tools for video. So thank you for that.
And I love helping people to the best of my ability. But some of the interviews you've done, like my friend Brian Stromwasser, who you did a really great interview with, who's been making the masks, and I think as of yesterday, I spoke to him, and he's made over 1,630 masks, by the way, and has done a really phenomenal job. And I saw that he's donating all the money to charity, to I think either a hospital or another foundation. But that was a great interview. Watching that interview, I got to see the other side of Brian, because I haven't really seen him open up in that way to talk about the mask. I've talked to him behind the scenes, and he'll tell me, oh, I just do it because I like to do it. And just so everyone understands, if they didn't see the interview, you can go see it on WABCradio.com, is he's in Broadway. Broadway has been shut. Originally, it was supposed to be shut until June 7th. Now it's closed, I think, until the first week of September. And it's just, he's doing hard work, and he can't make money right now. And that seems to be a problem for a lot of people. They're trying to do everything they can to help the effort, even if they can't have a job.
Yeah, they are. Yes, you're right about that, Nick. You know what's crazy too? I got to tell you guys just too. 40 million people are on unemployment right now, which I mean, I was talking to my uncle the other day, and shout out to you too, Jeff. You're watching this right now. He was telling me, he's like, Isaiah, I'm like, 50 something years old, and I have never seen something like this in my entire life with the economy and the way it is and with unemployment. And it's just one of those things where like your heart just, me personally, my friend, my heart is just aching so bad right now for just anyone who's out here, who's just all of us who are struggling through this, because I'll tell you, like, I've personally been through financial stress myself. And just from my personal, which I feel like everyone's in a different financial situation and everyone kind of handles it differently. But I'll tell you though, brother and sister, financial stress is not fun. It's a kind of stress that it's because money, I feel like, is like almost like it just kind of, now I don't feel like money is absolutely everything in life, but I feel like it's something where it's just like, and I'm not a stickler for money at all. But it's one of those things where it's just like it's so challenging and tough because like you need it to kind of almost do everything. And it just sucks what's really going on though, because it's just this whole thing is like, honestly, dude, let me tell you guys, this a virus to me, it's really the devil. I said to myself a couple of weeks ago, this freaking virus is I'm quoting Bill Evans. It's a dumpster fire of emotion and stress and anxiety. It's the freaking devil. It just really is, though. And it just came in and just. But you know what, though? We have been doing a phenomenal job. I think the healthcare professionals. I think just everybody who has been like part of this, working in retail stores like myself and just everyone else. So, I mean, we have done, I think we have done the best we possibly could. And these healthcare scientists and workers, I think they had this virus down pat to the best of their ability so far. Also the CDC.
I just wanted to jump in. When you mentioned about unemployment, I happen to just see, and we know this anyway, but CNN just did a story earlier tonight about the that they have that pandemic payment that they're doing through the stimulus, an extra $600. And for many people that they interviewed, and many people, millions around the country, they're making, if not minimum wage, close to it. And that 600 is like double or triple what they would be making. And they were asking these people, would you go back? It was a bar, a restaurant, fast food. And they were like, well, gee, I don't know. I don't know what to do. And this person who's at the job, the manager, it's like, I understand, you're getting the money, but it's not going to last forever. And we need people to come back. So that was an interesting angle. I mean, here you're getting money from the government. You're afraid to go back because of, the virus. And so they're giving you that because of, either what you're dealing with or what you could be dealing with. But in a way, it could be detrimental to the employer.
Well, and I'll ask you a question here, because we saw Cuomo and Murphy and Wolf and Lamont, all our tri-state governors. They're trying to say that they're in tune. I kind of question whether they're in tune. The beaches have been a whole controversial issue, trying to see if they'll be open. What do you make of this whole situation with the governors? And like New York, I think we're on pause until the 28th. Do you really see that being a reality, that even New York's going to be open? And are we going to be in tune with the rest of the tri-state?
No, I don't think we're going to be in lockstep with the rest of the tri-state. I don't think we have to be exactly. I think as long as there's communication, then I think that at least they can coordinate that way. As long as they know, they can at least attempt to coordinate. I don't think May 28th will happen. I think that they set up May 28th. I think we're already getting signs from the city. Mayor de Blasio kind of today, I don't want to say tipped his hand, but he said it looks like it's going to be the first half of June, which is sort of what we thought the state was going to say for downstate, that it was initially supposed to be June. I think it was June 13th, it was 7th, it was the 13th. And then it went back to May 28th. So I think it's very confusing, but I think there's an executive order that allows the New York pause to extend to the 13th, but they actually just extended it, at least at this portion, this time, to May 28th. But again, the city, it looks like will probably start this either the first or the second week of June.
But we'll move on to try to make this a little more positive because we're talking very politically and all that stuff. I know Jerry and I have been talking about this as well. The Last Dance. And you've been watching this. I've been watching this. Izzy, I don't know if you've been watching this, but
I haven't seen it. No, I got to check it out.
So this
flash from that segue.
Yes. And it's been a 10-part series basically on the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan. And if you haven't watched it, it's been quite a fascinating look into the behind the scenes of Michael Jordan. And basically, ESPN has had no content. A lot of sports networks don't have content, but ESPN had to move this up, I think, from June or July all the way up to May to fill time. And I think they hit this right on the mark to the point where they had to rush the last episode. I think they were finishing the last episode as they were getting ready to air it. So what did you think of The Last Dance?
Me? I loved it. I thought it was great. You know, I have friends, sports fans. They've worked in sports casting, and they are Knicks fans, and they are not Bulls fans. I'm a Knicks fan. I'm not a Bulls fan. And they wouldn't watch it. Oh, why would I watch that? Why would I watch that? And I just don't understand that. I mean, you grew up at a time, you know, like saying I was alive when Babe Ruth was playing. You were alive when Michael Jordan was playing, you know, arguably, if not arguably, perhaps the greatest player of all time, maybe even of any sport. So to watch that, I just, you know, why not? I mean, I don't understand. I thought it was great. I mean, there's so much insight. Jordan, Pippen. I mean, you know, there were so many different, you know, levels, even at the beginning about Phil Jackson and not coming back. Just so many things we didn't know going in.
I mean, just a fascinating thing, like you said, you put him up there with Michael Jordan, Derek Jeter, Roger Federer, Tiger Woods. We're talking about athletes that have been around, at least for Michael Jordan wasn't really my childhood. It was kind of right after it, being born in 1993. But just talking about a guy.
Yeah, thank you.
No, we're not trying to point out ages here. But basically, we're talking about a guy who had an interesting life, and I got to learn. Basically, I thought one of the more interesting points of that was his father getting murdered and basically growing up without a father and all the ways he pushed his teammates in a bully sense, which I thought was very unique in that regard. But I don't know. They did a good job portraying his life. And I don't know. Did you see different things you haven't seen before, Jerry?
I mean, just the way I think Michael Jordan opened up. I mean, you know, I thought, you know, he was in tears talking about why he was such a difficult. I was going to say something else. A difficult person, we'll say. And he was. They ended. I think it was I don't know which episode, but they ended one of the episodes with him basically choking up. That, you know, that was his, in effect, that was his work ethic, and it came with the territory, and that's who he was. And there were many times along the 10 parts where we also learned that he had to find ways to motivate himself. And whatever it was, somebody literally looks at him the wrong way, and he went off for 50 points against that person. I mean, he was, and that was, you know, the genius of him.
I mean, the best, I think, interaction of that whole documentary, I think, was the Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan situation. He went on Sports Center and said, will you make up with Michael Jordan? He said no. And there was a whole fierce battle and debate in that whole situation. But to kind of bring this around, because the documentary was filling time for sports, let's talk about sports, because we don't have Major League Baseball right now. The NBA was put on hold, essentially. The NHL was put on hold. The NFL might be the only lucky sport because it hasn't started yet. It doesn't start until September. So we've talked about sports a lot. Where do you see sports picking up again?
Well, I mean, I know it changes. I keep looking every day on like ESPN and the different sites to see if there's some updates. I think I get the sense that there will be some sort of I wanted to say there'll be an attempt to have sports. I think they're already past that point. I get the sense now that that the leagues are serious about going forward, and they're going to take all these precautions. Whether that is good enough and whether that's enough to make everyone happy in terms of I don't know if all of the medical experts, the health experts are happy about it, but I think that it's going to go forward. I think that it looks like they're going to have the NBA will be in a state. They're calling it like a bubble. They'll do it there. I interviewed Ian Eagle of Yes Network a few weeks ago, and
great interview, by the way.
Thank you. And he basically, one little tidbit he did tell me at the time, which I didn't know, that it looks like if they do it, not only would they have it in, say, either Las Vegas or in Orlando, and have all the teams there, and then have them all, I don't know if it's quarantined. Not necessarily. Quarantine sounds like they're all, testing positive or near somebody who tested positive, but just keeping everyone isolated, I guess would be the better word. Keeping everyone isolated, the staff, I don't know if they'd be with family, but just everyone in that one city, and then playing, I guess, in different arenas within the city.
But what's going to be very interesting, though, Jerry, is...
Go ahead. You're the host. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go right ahead, brother. Go right ahead.
No, the only other thing I was going to say was that Ian Eagle had added that even in terms of social distancing, they wouldn't have the broadcasters there. The broadcasters would either be literally at home or at their home city in a studio. So they would just distance it even that way. Sorry.
Well, that's been the challenge, and I'll let you say something in a second, Izzy. But for the Korean Baseball League, which is the games that they're showing right now, and if you're in the States and you're up at the ungodly hour of 5:25 in the morning or 2:30 in the morning or 1 o'clock in the morning, whichever you pick your poison. I mean, Izzy and I are used to that because we worked overnight shifts. But basically, I think the ESPN broadcasters are doing it from their house, and they're watching the game through either a satellite feed or a regular feed. And it's a challenge, and because you can't watch the flight path of the ball, you're not in the stadium. There was a little controversy with what types of fake people they were putting in the seats. I don't know if you saw that story, Jerry, that they were putting sex dolls in.
Yeah.
And it was a very complicated, controversial situation. So I don't know how to describe it, but that's what they've been doing with the games. And Izzy, what do you got to add?
Oh, yeah, that was crazy about the sex dolls, though, because can you guys imagine that? Okay, right? Like you're watching TV and you're watching your game and they show the audience and all you see are these freaking sex dolls everywhere. That brother and sister, can you imagine that? Wouldn't that be so freaking crazy?
I couldn't.
I'll tell you this, though. It's very interesting, though, Jared, what you were saying, and you too, Nick, both you guys with the whole sports situation, because I was thinking about this the other day, and I said this, that right now, if you're going to try to social distance in sports arenas, that's going to be very challenging, in my opinion, because I think what you're going to have to do is, and this is the only possible way that I can see this happening and working, is if you take out half of the seats so people are not sitting directly next to each other in the arena. Now, here's the thing, though, my friend, I think is going to be very challenging with that, though. And it's going to be that owners are going to probably look at that and be like, because that's going to be lost revenue, because the more people that they can pack into these stadiums, that's going to be the more money that they're going to make. And I think it's something that this is going to be a challenge, and it's going to be interesting to see how these owners and these different organizations like the NBA and the NFL are going to work with this, because what you were saying, me and Nick have been talking about this recently. We've been saying about how like 40%, I don't know if you noticed, my friend, but 40% of, I believe it's the MLB, you said it was, Nick, of their revenue comes from the fans. It's
every sport, actually. 40% is the gate of fans that are coming through. And when they don't have that revenue, that's been the big fight between the MLB players and the owners, and negotiating how much more of a pay cut do you take. That's the big problem. So if you don't have fans, it's hard to pay the money that these players are making.
Right. And the fans, I feel like, really makes, like the games. I mean, every game I've ever watched in my entire life, I mean, I'll never forget that one game because, I'm a diehard Jets fan. And there was one game where the freaking Jets came back at the last second when Rex Ryan was the coach and Mark Sanchez threw this last second, last play pass into the end zone. The crowd went freaking ballistic, my friend. I cannot even tell you. These people were jumping up and down, hugging each other. Like, you would think that they just all won $1 million. Like the way that they were so freaking happy. Well, I'm Jets fans. I know some of you out there right now that are watching, we are kind of crazy though. A lot of people compare us to like Giants fans, but I don't know. I think Jets fans, we're kind of both have our ways and stuff like that. I mean, but it's just I really kind of hope there is going to be sports because right now, I mean, having no sports is kind of challenging because what else do you watch? Well, you could watch what you were saying earlier, Jerry, about game shows. Because let me tell you something, I could watch The Price is Right all freaking day long, guys. I cannot even tell you. I don't know if I told you this, but when I was younger, though, and Mom, I know you just checked into, and I just saw it on the screen on the other side over here. I know, well, actually, Grandma used to get me with this too, though. But yeah, I did used to fake sick at school so I can come home and watch CBS at 11 o'clock every single morning because when I saw that light border come on, child, I swear to you, I looked at my grandma and I was like, Grandma, Bob Barker's coming on. Yes. And I used to, but yeah, and there were some days where I was feeling nice and, wasn't sick at all. And then I went back to school the next day and they were just like, Isaiah, were you really feeling bad? And I told my friends, I was just like, no, I want to watch The Price is Right. Just don't tell them. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know. This thing is, I got to tell you, my friend, me personally, guys, I think we have, this is just my personal opinion, but I think we've done everything that we possibly can. I think, we listened to everything that the governors and everybody said. Like we stayed in quarantine for a month and, we did our thing. We got that government assistance. And I think now a lot of this is, becoming the politics, and which I think is so crazy. And I think one of the reasons it's very political is because you have the election coming up in November, which is a big, big thing that has to do with the White House and Trump getting reelected and the whole shabam, though. But this thing is very, I kind of can't wait till this is all over because I told Nick earlier, I was just like, I swear to you, when that social distancing is over and lifted, because guys, I'm just a social butterfly, and it's just like it's so hard for me to see people I love, and I can't like hug them, and I'm just like I want to like hug you, and it's like this damn social distancing, like. Oh.
But Jerry and I have been talking a lot about other things over the past couple of weeks. You've been trying to go out, and I saw you wearing the mask that Brian got you, and I've worn the mask that he got. It's been a challenge trying to go out. And everyone's staring at you. It's been happening to me every time I go to take the train when I'm not wearing my mask in the car. And I've seen some weird stories where people forget they're in the car, they don't need to wear it, and they're passing out in the car.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you see people driving, and I mean, maybe they're just going down the street to 7-Eleven, but it's so they have it on. And I'm like, and I guess I shouldn't complain that somebody's driving and has the mask on if they want to do that. The other thing I noticed, another new normal, we're walking, my wife and I will walk down, 2 blocks and, take our daily stroll. We will see cars parked, and what do they have in the rear view mirror hanging? Their mask. They leave it there hanging in their, rear view mirror. So
yes,
that's just, part of the new normal, like having a water bottle sitting in the cup holder.
Yeah, that was interesting. And I'll ask you, because I've been a part of one of these now. Those like for celebrations, for birthdays, for anniversaries, people are lining up their cars and they're doing the drive-by with the honk. Honk.
A neighbor had it a couple of weeks ago for a 1-year-old.
What do you think of that whole situation? People doing that?
I mean, I thought it was cute. I mean, I thought it was nice. They were I think they all had masks. They definitely were socially distancing, certainly with the neighbor and the that family, and they all stayed right on the curb, and everybody was back at the house, and I was at my house, which was just down whatever 20, 30 yards away, 50 yards. I don't know. I'm not good with that. I always have to think in terms of football fields, But no, I mean, it looked, they had posters, happy birthday, another one, it was 3 or 4 cars. It wasn't, a lot. They've done things like that with I think the Nassau police did something with with somebody who had a birthday. So there've been a few of those. I mean, it's nice. I mean, it's just something for people to, latch on to right now as, not the new normal, but just a way of at least having, a little an attempted interaction.
I'll tell you, Jerry, me personally, dude, I don't know how much longer I can take it with that mask because I got a story actually to tell you guys about this woman that came in the other week.
We'll be here a few hours.
No, that mask is starting to get very. See, I have like asthma and allergies, and it's very challenging for me to like breathe with that thing on. But let me tell you about this woman that came into Wegmans the other day, right? So I'm standing at the entrance. Now she comes walking up to me and she looks at me and she goes, "Excuse me, how come a lot of these people in the parking lot are not wearing masks out here? I mean, this is freaking absurd. What the hell is going on here? Why does that guy over there by his car took his mask off and he's over there putting his groceries in the car?" Now I'm looking at her and I'm just like, "I'm so sorry, ma'am." I said, "I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I know they have to wear it in the store, but I don't think they have to really wear it in the parking lot outside and stuff like that, putting the groceries in the car." And she's just getting all crazy with us. And she's like, "Oh, this is freaking crazy," and stuff like that. And then she walked inside the store to get a shopping cart. You guys know that this lady looked at a random woman behind her when she pulled out a shopping cart, and she was just like, "Put a freaking mask on!" Like she was yelling, and this one lady, the woman she yelled at had a mask on, and she's just like, "I have a mask on. What the hell is wrong with you yelling at me like that? You're freaking..." Like she got really crazy. And I tell you guys, we had some lives. I mean, some of these people out here are getting real like. Yeah, I have never seen some craziness like that before.
I mean, I've seen it. There was something. It wasn't connected directly to a mask. I think I probably told you. I was in the store. I don't have to get into the details, but it was a woman and a man, and all I know is they were screaming at each other. It started at the beginning of the supermarket in the produce aisle, and I kept seeing them going on and hearing them screaming the whole way along, where ultimately they had to call the police.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You did tell me that story. Yep.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is a few weeks ago, but I think people were already starting to wear masks. Like little by little, you would go and you would see more masks and more masks and more masks before it was official, official order from the state. But the woman who was doing all the screaming was not wearing a mask. The man was. So I don't know what was going on, but I know they were like clawing at each other like cats and dogs.
Right. And that's the big problem. People don't know, do I wear a mask? Is it helping? Do I have to do other things? And I remember when this first started, Cuomo and de Blasio, at least here in New York, where we are, if you could be more than 6 feet apart, then you don't have to wear a mask, which seemed kind of silly because the virus transfers from person to person. We learned over the past day or so that the virus doesn't transport anymore from surfaces, which is hopefully a good thing.
Makes it less contagious. Yep.
But I don't know. I mean, people, like you said earlier, Jerry, are losing their minds. I think partially because most of them are at home, but most of them can't go out, and it's hard to be 6 feet away from somebody.
Yeah, I think that there's, and I don't agree in any way with that behavior. But I would say that I think there's they're nervous. I think there's a lot of, especially before, I think there was a lot of anxiety about, all right, how long is this going to go on? And that's why you see, and I'm not getting into the politics of it, but that's why you're seeing these protests on Long Island, where people, I mean, there's levels to this. There's a lot of parts to this about wanting to get back to work, which obviously, as we talked about before, we get it. I mean, people need to get back to work. But there's, and there's another angle to this as well. There's the human part, the health part. And when we've seen these on Long Island now twice in the last couple of weeks. We don't have to get into that. I was just pointing out that whole issue.
There's one more thing I want to ask, and it's interesting because some companies are starting to do this now. Well, I think I told you this a couple of days ago, but Pier 1 is now closed. Like all 540 plus stores are closed. Sears is filing for bankruptcy. I don't think they're officially closed yet. And now Facebook and Twitter have essentially told their workers, if you want to continue working from home forever, you can. So do we see the work world becoming more of an on-demand working situation where you work from home, you don't have to go to a specific office, and you just get the work done at your pace and your time?
Yeah, I think that until there's a vaccine, I think that, and there may never be one. I mean, it's, it's a possibility. Yes, we could have a vaccine rushed by the end of the year, and it may not work. It may prove to be ineffective. We don't know. I mean, it's extremely quick, so we don't know what my sister-in-law is a physician, and I talk to her almost daily about all the different. She's not only has she treated COVID patients in Atlanta, she actually had COVID.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and passed it to her husband, my brother-in-law, and they didn't have to go to the hospital, but they were. I mean, for even a mild case, they had it for like 3 weeks. And she said to me the other day, and this is already probably 3 weeks since she's had it, that she still isn't completely over it. She's still at like 70% only. So I was surprised to hear that. So it really takes a lot out of you.
It's interesting also, I'm not going to say who it is, but we had a coworker in our building who had the COVID virus, and we had to get the whole studios re-cleaned and reprocessed. And Izzy knows this too, because we had to move over to where the former PLJ studios were in our complex, because they had to scrub the studios from head to toe so we could go back in there. Do you remember that, Izzy?
Oh yeah, that was really that was really crazy. You walked in there and all you smelled was straight up Clorox.
Yes, because they literally had to clear the remnants to the best of their ability. So, like Jerry had said, the symptoms for this virus, you don't see it sometimes until 3, 4, or 5 days into having it, and it could last another 2-3 weeks. You don't know what the symptoms are going to be. And I'm curious your thought on now the inflammatory syndrome for kids, because I think we're up to almost 160 cases for this virus. What do you think about that?
Yeah, 157 cases in the state. It's this inflammatory illness that is affecting children as young as under a year to up to, not children, but 21. Primarily, I think it's between like 5 and 13. Those are the ages. The really, if you haven't heard about this, the problem with this is they have been saying from basically the get-go, the most vulnerable people are the elderly, the people in the nursing homes, as we know how tragic that has turned out to be, the people who have the underlying conditions at any age. But the ones who were pretty much almost uniformly and 100% in the clear were the young people who had no underlying conditions. And now there's, a wrench is thrown into that, that you have children. And what's even more disturbing is they seem to be getting these COVID testing for COVID without having any of the COVID symptoms, which is all the respiratory issues. So they are not having anything that was known to be COVID. And then they're most of them are testing either for COVID or had the antibodies that show that they have COVID. So it's a disturbing trend, and and it makes them now have to wonder what happens with school going forward, because that's the next hurdle, planning to open up in the fall.
What do you got, Izzy? You got anything?
Yeah, Jerry. I mean, and that I think the challenge with the schools, brother, is like it's going to be very crazy, because I was actually reading something earlier I posted on Facebook about, I was kind of getting people's thoughts about like what they thought about the CDC and everything like that, because they just came out with a whole plan about what they're going to actually do with schools going forward. And I just I looked at it, and I'll read it to you right now, brother and sister, because I don't know if you happen to see this a little bit earlier, but This is the CDC's guidelines for returning to school in September. So they're saying that a face mask for anyone older than 2 must be worn. No sharing supplies, tools, toys, games, electronic devices, desk facing the same way, 6 feet apart. So, the desk has to be 6 feet apart, facing, I guess, each other. And well, actually, I'm sorry, not facing each other, but it has to face the same way, though. But it has to be 6 feet apart.
Right.
Social distancing on a school bus, 1 child per seat, every other seat empty. See, that's what's really interesting. Let me say that one more time for you. You have to social distance on the bus, and they have to do it in a way where there's 1 child per seat and every other seat empty. Now, see, I don't know how that's going to work out, though, because some school buses have a lot of kids that are on the bus, and that's going to be really crazy. And, you also have here like one-way hallways, no shared spaces like cafeterias or playgrounds, screens between bathroom sinks, prepackaged or bagged food for lunch with kids eating in classrooms. You can't have any field trips, assemblies, or outside organizations, limited visitors, same kids with same staff all day, staggered arrivals and departures, and daily temperature checks. Now, me personally, I got to tell you, though, I feel so bad for these kids because, I understand because what's going to have to happen with that, guys, is the CDC is, being that they said that, they're going to have to follow that all the schools. And I feel so bad for these kids because that's going to be very challenging to me. And I don't think they should really have the kids go through all that. No field trips and no playground and no assemblies to show, because the assemblies are usually in elementary schools and middle school. That's like a really big time for like kids to go see like their other classmates and see what kind of productions they put on and to see what kind of cool shows and things they're coming out with. And then the field trips, when I was in high school and in middle school and stuff like that, we had 3 of them. The first field trip was the trip to Fairview Lake, where I walked outside and the bear almost snatched me, but that's a whole nother problem. But, well, actually, yeah, it kind of did happen, though. But, we went to Fairview Lake. We had so much fun. They taught us about camping up there. We went to actually, by the way, a little story with that, too. Oh, God. Sergio and Rod and Dan. Oh, guys.
Here, Izzy, wait 1 second. I just want to hear, what do you think about the CDC guidelines, Jerry, about the schools? What do you think about that?
Well, I think. Oh, sorry, just checking the email.
That's okay.
Not breaking news. It's okay. No, it's interesting because even today with this about the latest on the inflammatory disease, Governor Cuomo was saying he wants a plan in place by the schools, by the districts, by the colleges, by June. He wants them to implement their decision of what they want to do going forward by July. So they want to have everything, whether that means using the CDC as guidelines or not. I don't know. I think, if they don't have to follow everything that the CDC has in place, it certainly is a very, it's a good roadmap. It certainly is an extensive roadmap. It's very comprehensive. It makes you wonder if they can actually pull that off. The field trip is, that's the least of it. They don't have to have a field trip, but they do have to be able to, when you mentioned about the 6 feet and the classroom, my wonder is, first of all, can they, with the buses, how do they do that? But really, crowding in schools. So how do you pull that off? Because it sounds like you're going to have to reduce size in order, anywhere, whether it's in an office, on a train or a bus. And if you're going to do that in the school, by the way, the other thing, and I don't know if this would be something, and I'll just throw this in very quickly. They want everybody, work at home as much as possible to alleviate, whether it's commuting, whether it's alleviating in the workplace. I don't know if that's something that can be done in school, if you can have some people school remote learning, and then, because who gets to pick, who gets to be doing that? So I don't know that would, I think it's all or nothing in that case.
It's been a massive struggle. And by the way, you're listening to the Nick and Izzy show. Our guest is Jerry Barmash, our colleague at 77 WABC. And we're talking about the school issues, which has been a massive struggle. My mother actually brought this up to me earlier today. How can you downsize schools, especially with the size of some schools? I mean, like for my high school was huge. So I guess you could downsize in some capabilities of that capability. But she also said to me, you might have to have half the school go in the morning with some teachers, and then the second half go in the afternoon, and you have some teachers in that way. But like you said, Jerry, and like you said, Izzy, I just don't know how this is going to work. And now they're starting to talk about Governor Cuomo going back to New York with this whole issue, because that seems where this is stemming from. Said, I don't even know if we're going to be ready to open in September. It's too early to tell. And we saw colleges are closed for the rest of the year. Jerry, you actually mentioned there was one college that actually was getting ready to open, right?
NYU.
NYU. I think they
offering the choice where you can do either remote learning. So there's a choice where it can do remote learning, or you can go in and have classes on any of their campuses. I think for colleges, it becomes even more challenging. You got a bigger class size, the entire class of the student body. I think it's much harder. Do you get tested? Do you not? Do you have the antibody test? Obviously, somebody could be tested in, August, and 2 days later they can have, the COVID virus. So it's very, very, it's very complicated. A lot of layers here.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel very, guys, I feel bad for these kids because I mean, me personally, like, me going back to like school, like when I was younger and stuff like that. I mean, we lived for all that stuff. I mean, I can't even imagine like how excited we were. And I mean, kids are like young too, like they want to be with their friends. They want to like get to grow up and they want to be social, which I think is good. I think kids should go out with other kids all the time and have fun, enjoy your childhood, just do projects together, go on field trips together, go to playgrounds together. Like, I just feel like it's something where it's just like, because we all, I'm sure you guys, Jerry and Nick, you guys, we all did that when we were younger. And I mean, we had a freaking blast, man. Yeah. And just knowing that, like, they want to get rid of the field trips, it's like, that's in the playground. That's crazy to me.
And I think everybody loves that day off. You get a day off from school and you're home. But this is not that. This is where you've been stuck at home for 2 months, 3 months. And my friend is a teacher, a remote teacher on Long Island in Brooklyn, in Queens and Brooklyn. And it's not the same. The governor has said that, the city has said that they're trying to add the tools. But it's not quite the same. It's not like you can do a Zoom thing and you can do your work at home, and send in your stuff. And it's not, the teaching has not, and, they did what they could do. They ramped it up in 10 days before, with nothing. And so they got what they could get out of it. But I don't think it's, it's not what they intended, for sure.
Right. And I said to you, Jerry, as well, my Aunt Phyllis works at a BOCES, and she's dealing with the same situation, trying to do remote learning, trying to get all the assignments in, trying to make sure everything gets passed through so that it can be graded. So that's the whole struggle going forward. I want to get into one more thing, which will probably get us all the way through to the end here. Talk about your interview that's getting ready to come out shortly with Philip Ng, the president of LIRR.
Yeah, so I spoke to Philip Ng, the president LIRR, about where we're going forward. Are we going to be a new normal for the Long Island Railroad? What can the commuters expect? What will rush hour look like? I mean, what's going to happen? He basically said one thing. He said, which I thought was, I don't know if it was a revelation, but I thought it was an interesting quote, that they will not allow. I don't know if I'm saying the exact quote, but he basically wants, I think he said it's going to be mandatory that masks will have to be on the trains until there's a vaccine. Which, I mean, I guess that's not stunning. I think people would probably want that at this point, when you're in a crowded place like that, right? I mean, that doesn't seem so hard to imagine. He wants, again, not a surprise, he wants people to telecommute. He wants people to stagger their work schedule when at all possible. So I think, as much as possible, they don't want to see, it's interesting because they get their money, their revenue, from the ridership. But I mean, he basically told me they want the ridership down at least, the first, 6 months, a year till the vaccine is in. And he also said, no matter what, and we know that ridership has been terrible and revenue is at a historic low, but there will not be, based on the COVID crisis, there will not be a rate hike.
Right. And Izzy, if you can get in here, Izzy and I have been talking about New Jersey Transit and how they've really been cut down. Governor Murphy has been very strict on a lot of different issues. New Jersey got hit a little bit harder, or it took them later times to come down from it.
Right.
But how is New Jersey Transit compared to LIRR? And what's your opinion on the LIRR? Is it?
I mean, it's very clean. New Jersey Transit has been doing, a phenomenal job cleaning everything. But yeah, guys, I mean, it's weird though, because like when I go into the city usually on like Thursday and Friday and Saturday nights, the trains normally are packed. You have a lot of these young guys like in their 20s, late teens, their 30s and stuff too, or just any age. People just enjoying their life, just going out to different events and just going to have fun at the clubs and bars in the city and everything.
This is not now. You're talking about before.
But before, right. And that's how it was before. But now it's very just like there's only a couple people on the train. And I guess like with this telecommuting, it's really changing the way that people are traveling. I would say just traveling in general, and also too traveling into New York City as well, because the train usually before all this happened, it was like freaking, you're like sardines. Like you're like so next to somebody, like you're like there's been times where I've been on the train and I've had enough room just for my body to stand and everybody else is surrounded. Yeah, just like, yeah, I mean, it's really has become a, it's kind of scary though, a little bit though. It's just kind of scary, like how much this virus has really just scared so many people to the level where it's like, I mean, they're really like, they don't know what else to do next. It's really, but I mean, I would say with the LIRR, I don't really take the LIRR though, but I can see like even going into Penn Station, like how that's been so different, and there's been like nobody in Penn. And yeah, I mean, when I get on the train at night, guys, I feel like it's just me actually, because it's like it's crazy, like how fast like that really changed. Which I hope eventually, pretty soon, that it is going to go back to a way where like people can kind of like I don't know, just enjoy their life, because this is very. This is like very hard having this new kind of, I guess you could say, like normalcy. I mean, I think with the mask, I know a lot of people, like, Governor Murphy was saying something about the mask and how he wants people to keep wearing it until the vaccine comes out. But that's what the challenge is, because, Jerry, like you were saying earlier, dude, we don't know if the vaccine is going to come out this year or next year or the year after that. And it's just like, I also feel like with the mask too, that, my personal opinion, you're kind of like blocking all the germs from coming into your body doing that. And also too, with the gloves on, you're also blocking the germs as well too. And I feel like that's something that's also hurting our immune system, because our immune system can't develop antibodies and we can't start making it stronger to fight this virus off. And we're not able to build up an immune system where, now, I mean, mind you, if somebody has the virus though, I would try to stay, away from them as far as you can though, for now, at least for now though, so they can recover. But really the people who are sick, I believe, really should be, wearing a mask and things like that, because the people who are not sick, who are healthy, I don't think they really have to wear the mask. And I think in a lot of people's minds now, it's becoming to the level where if everyone wears the mask, it would just protect everyone. But I just feel like it's actually causing a little bit more harm than good, because with all those now, I hope the people who do have, or I hope nobody has COVID. I really hope nobody gets it. But the people who are sick, or even people who have the flu or just a little cold, if they wear that and they have to go out somewhere, you're going to protect your other people from getting sick though. And that's the reason I think, where eventually I think a lot of this is going to be about herd immunity. It's going to be where we're really just going to have to, I feel like, go out and just let our bodies and immune systems just do its thing. And I think, with the second, which I hope there's not a second wave, but I think if there is, God forbid, a second wave, and I haven't really been thinking about this recently, and I was talking to my neighbor Keith down the street, who he actually knows people at the CDC, and he used to work with special forces over there and things of that nature with homeland security and all that. But he was saying, he said, yeah, I mean, like, but if our immune systems start building up really well now without the mask and gloves on, and God forbid if there is a second wave, which I hope doesn't happen, but we'll be more immune to this though, where I don't think people are going to get as sick. But that's just my opinion though. But I think the mask is something where it's just a lot of people just can't stand wearing it. It is hard wearing that all day long, and it's like at least like when you go outside, I think you should. I mean, if you're in a store and stuff like that, though, but it's very difficult in the store, and I feel like personally, from a lot of people I've been talking to, my friends, that the mask is really I don't know if it's really meant for like long-term use, like all day long and stuff. And I feel like the people who are sick should wear it, but us who are healthy, I think, really, Jerry and Nick and everyone else, I think the best thing we can really do with this virus is take vitamins, definitely, because before all this ended up happening, I was seeing so many vitamins, which we didn't think this was going to happen, but I think taking your vitamins is a great way to get your immune system stronger. And also too, I just think, to continue to, just wash your hands and to continue just to do your best to
clean surfaces,
exercise and things of that nature.
The only thing I was just, I know we're running late here, but
yeah,
you said like, as long as you're not sick, you probably shouldn't have to wear the mask. Well, the only thing I would counter to that is there's a word called asymptomatic, and that is many of the people have gotten sick and didn't know they were sick, and that's fine for them, but they can transfer to somebody and that person can get very sick. So that's where there's a problem, and people have to be aware of that.
Right. So hopefully we can get through the virus. We don't know if and when. I mean, we could have talked about this for hours. We didn't even get to hydroxychloroquine. That was a whole nother issue, but that's for a whole other day. This has been Nick and Izzy's show. That's Jerry Barmash. He's our colleague at 77 WABC. He does a lot of the digital work for WABCRadio.com. That fill-in interview is going to come out when?
Tomorrow, maybe. I'm not
Roughly.
sure.
Well, we'll see. In the next couple of days.
Fill-in interview, and I'll be filling in on the radio.
Good catch right there.
Monday morning, right?
Monday morning.
Cool. So you can catch Jerry Barmash, my brother and sister, Monday morning on 770 a.m. right here in the tri-state area, or also too, if not, and he's going to be starting at, I believe it's 6 o'clock in the morning, right? You're going to be starting the first newscast at 6. He's going to be on with the morning show, Bernie and Sid in the morning, and you're going to be on from 6 to 12. And if you can't listen in the tri-state area, if you don't live in the tri-state area, you can always listen at WABCRadio.com too. And you're going to hear Jerry on those New York City airwaves on 770 New York.
All right, Izzy, any final thoughts?
Yeah, guys. I mean, just really quick, actually, Jerry, like what you were saying, man, about people being asymptomatic, and I think that's where like a lot of these antibody tests are coming in at too. And I think it's just something where, I mean, I think it's going to come down, guys, to I mean, I think you're going to get you're going to get some people who are going to want to wear it and some people who won't want to wear it. But it's interesting because, like, in New Jersey, it's like Phil Murphy said, if you're going down to the beach this weekend, they recommend you to wear a mask, but if you don't want to, you don't have to, which makes me start to wonder, like, in other states, they don't even want you, like other states like South Carolina, you don't even have to wear a mask right now or gloves, and they're almost back to normal. So I think this is going like state by state and area by area. But guys, brother and sister, I just want to invite you to please remember just, to keep doing you, baby. Keep doing you, baby. Keep doing your thing. Just don't let this get too, I know this is very challenging for a lot of us because let me tell you something, I've been trying very hard each day because me and my coworkers were just like, dude, is this over yet? Like, oh my God. We just want to see people, eventually, we just have to really just,
hang in there
by day, really just day by day, and just don't, I mean, all I can say is just stay as positive as you possibly can. You know, watch your favorite TV shows. You know, hey, if you're driving out somewhere, if you are going to the park this weekend with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, or whoever, though, freaking put the radio on, dude. Put the radio on and blast your favorite freaking song ever. Put the Bluetooth on in your car. Put on like Miley Cyrus, Party in the USA, whatever kind of song you love to freaking jam to. That's what I've been doing personally. I've been putting on that damn France Jolie. Gotta get on you the whole time, but you know, because I can't. I'm like I call her the White Donna Summer, but that's a whole nother story. But she's because I freaking love her, I really do. But just you know, do something positive. Like just blast your freaking music and just go crazy in the car. Look at someone next to you in the other car too, and just start turning it up loud and be like you know jamming. Like, oh, you want to jam with me, boy? Okay, hey, just do something fun though. Just stay positive, my friend. That's all I can tell you.
All right, Izzy, I think we've gotten past our bounds here. I think it's time to put a conclusion on this episode. And Jerry, thanks for being on with us. And hopefully we can have you on another time. We enjoyed the conversation. Hopefully we can have another one.
Thank you. That was fun. Thanks.
You guys are awesome. Love both of you to death. And I love you too, brother and sister. And hashtag Izzy loves you. And I will talk to you all very soon. And yeah, Nick, I'll talk to you very soon. And on my personal page. And also too, me and Nick will talk to you as well soon too, because we got another cool guest. Next week on Thursday. But you know, we'll let you actually 2 guests, matter of fact, too.
Yes.
2 people that I love so freaking much. And you know what? I can't spoil it for you. So we're gonna let you know as days get a little bit further and closer to next week.
All right. Make sure you join us next Thursday, and we're signing off for now. Goodbye, everybody.
Have a wonderful evening tonight. Bye.